Crystal Maiden here. This act isn't as fun as previous act, mainly because of its gimmick. It's still a fun level. Like, this is no Scrap Brain Zone. You can't actually get crushed by those things. Like, it's impossible. Even if Sonic literally looks like his head is clipping through them, he won't get crushed by them. I don't believe you can jump through those green platforms that stick out of the wall from below. Like, you can't jump onto them from below. So that's inconvenient. But what's convenient is, like, see? If this was a classic Sonic game, Sonic would have been crushed by now. But, like, these things aren't nearly as tense as they were in Sonic 2. Like, there's still kind of a pace destroyer. But, like, there's still fast parts in this level. So it's still fun to play, it's just that there's these cogs that destroy the pace. I jumped off there because it wasn't intuitive to me that I was able to interact with this thing. I thought it was just something that you landed on. I guess a different color should include me in. But yeah, the gimmick with this is you have to run left on it to make it go right so you can progress. Like, as you can see, I'm running right and nothing's happening. The annoying thing about these things is that there's a noticeable delay between you running, because it goes, like, it accelerates from a standstill. And it takes a while to move quickly. Thankfully it respawns. Well, not respawns, but it rolls back to its original position if you fall off. So that's good. And if you walk to the left, when you're not in the exact spot you want to be, it's not like you're going to just walk off the cog. Like, Sonic will actually conveniently run all over the cog until getting to his proper position. Like, I'm guessing the cogs have their own gravity to them that keeps Sonic on them. That's the only explanation I can think of for it, is just run off them. But yeah, like, this level is pretty good. Like, I still hate the projectiles that the starfish throw you. But I feel like they're easier to avoid. Like, the enemies in general aren't placed nearly as cheaply as the ones in Metropolis Zone. Like, go figure, the king of cheaply placed enemies had more cheaply placed enemies in this game. And like, that was so arbitrary. Like, why did I have to roll that cog forwards to remove that wall? And you got some more slow platforming. With the minecart in the mobile version of the game, you actually have to use tilt controls. I've heard that they work pretty well, actually. The minecart isn't automatically going forwards in the mobile version. And Lost Labyrinth Act 2 is actually a lot shorter in that version. This is really weird because it looks like Sonic is clipping through that wall. Thing is, that wall is supposed to be in the foreground, and the Sonic is supposed to be behind it. But it's really weird. It doesn't look that way. It really looks like a wall that you can't walk past. Like, there's definitely some depth perception issues in this level. Like there's one point where I reach a brown wall, and I don't really find intuitive that I can walk past it. But it's not that huge of a deal, though. It just looks really weird. It almost looks like a graphical glitch that Sonic is hidden behind this green wall when he has to run right to move the cogs downwards. These really feel like a gimmick for the sake of a gimmick. They don't feel fun at all. And they spin faster than Sonic is running, which really drives home the point that you're not going fast as you normally would if you didn't have to be on that cog at all. This level has gone on for like 5 minutes by this point. Well, almost 5 minutes. But to be honest, aside from Lost Labyrinth Act 2, none of the levels in this game have ever felt like they dragged on too long for me. I guess because they have a lot of variety in them. The slicer throwing stuff is still annoying. But a new thing in this game is that slicers actually explode after they throw stuff in this game. It's really annoying how, like, the projectiles, they don't just throw forwards. The projectiles will also gradually go upwards. And I feel like that really makes it cheap. Like, it's not bad enough that they throw directly in front of them. But again, they're not that bad because they're not put in extremely cheap locations, like standing right where you would be sent after being bounced around by the yellow triangles. This wall actually moves a lot faster in the mobile versions of the game. And same goes for the wall in Lost Labyrinth Act 3. They actually changed it so that it moves slower because people were complaining that it was too hard. And I can understand that because, honestly, I almost got crushed by that crusher wall multiple times in this level. And in the last time I had to deal with this. It's convenient how the crusher wall will slow down when you're in a slower area. And so you can go through loops and stuff. I really hate these things. You have to go left to... hold left to go left and right to go right. But again, you have momentum where it screws you over. There's going to be one part where those seesaws have spikes. And even though you're holding the opposite direction, you still go in the direction that you don't want to go. And of course, this wall actually damages you if you touch it. But it's not a one-hit kill, so it's not too bad. And because of the way the physics work, where you can get up a wall with barely any momentum at all, it's pretty easy to avoid getting crushed. Like, it's not like you have to spin dash every single time to make it up a slope. So that's really convenient. And again, the crusher walls will slow down conveniently for you. I should have taken those spikes as a sign that I wasn't supposed to go to the right there. Like, they introduced the signs that warn you of bottomless pits in Generations. And honestly, I kind of miss them. Because I saw them in the Unleashed project, and they were pretty helpful there. But yeah, unfortunately we've got these cogs again, even though they really should have stayed in Act 2. Like, it makes a gimmick feel less special when it appears in more than one act, when this game is all about one-act gimmicks to make the acts more special. The mobile versions of the game actually have a different waiting animation. Rather than Sonic getting annoyed, he actually starts tapping to an iPhone near his ear and happily spins in place. Which is in character for him, but also kind of chilling. And see, I hate this! Like, there's spikes, and I was clearly holding left, but I got sent into the spikes anyways, because the game only decides to have momentum when it conveniences you! Or when you're being launched from springs. Like that was something that I really hated about the advanced games and the rush games, is that often you would go into a spring, and then it would send you to the left up a path, and you would skid to a stop because suddenly you weren't holding the right direction anymore. But I'm guessing this game wouldn't do that because the springs are a lot more automated this time around. Like, you just get automatically sent from one diagonal spring to the other, regardless of what direction you're holding. And you know, that's great design. It's much better than just skidding to a stop, or God forbid, dropping out of the sky right away. God, why are there spikes there? I know for a fact that I'm holding the right directions, and he still keeps sliding towards the spikes. But yeah, the crusher wall isn't really that big of a deal. I'm guessing it's harder in the beta Android version of the game. But it's really not that bad. The mobile version of the game doesn't really have a map screen where you can select all of the zones. Like, it just has this lame menu instead. I'm guessing that's because of graphical limitations. I'll talk more about the graphical limitations later, because that leads into another thing I want to mention. This boss is atrocious. It's so irritating how... Like, honestly, I think I prefer the version of this from Metropolis Zone, or Ice Cap Act 1. Because here, you jump into his bubbles when they're surrounding him, and they destroy the bubbles and waste your hit. And I guess I prefer that to getting damage. But it's just so easy to die here or get hit. Those bubbles are such an annoying nuisance, and I'd rather be able to just, you know, take advantage of invincibility frames rather than bouncing off the bubbles a whole bunch and having the fight drag on forever. Also, I think they missed a great opportunity with the title card of this boss. Like, it's all about fake Eggman, right? I think it would have been a lot funnier if they said, "Will the real Eggman please stand up?" Instead, it just says, "Defeat the real Eggman." Like, that's lame. I guess they were just afraid of the copyright issue or just didn't think of it. And this is basically a Sonic Advance 2 boss fight. Done wrong! Look, you're skating to a stop, just like in Advance 2. You're forced to be running at all times, and the air dash is completely worthless. Even in Advance 2, the air dash was a lot better because you wouldn't... Like, the air dash barely sent you at all. And in Advance 2's boss fights, there were rings that respawned. Here there are no rings. The only redeeming quality is that the ground doesn't constantly slope to screw up your jump. But you have to be so close to Eggman to homing attack him. Like, it's good that you can homing attack him, but still. There are other attacks that he can use, like, he can throw a gigantic inflatable Eggmobile at you. Like a giant inflatable balloon with a mannequin of himself in it. And that's pretty amusing. But yeah, like, that's not a very fun boss at all. What I was going to talk earlier about with the graphical limitations of the mobile versions is that in the mobile versions, Sonic's rendering looks similar to his Sonic Rush game rendering. But this rendering lacks a mouth, eyelids, and an index finger for Sonic's pose after being a boss. I really like the music that plays here. It's actually pretty epic. This cutscene doesn't show up at all in the mobile versions. I'm guessing that's because of technological limitations. And see what I meant about Tails helping Sonic from the sidelines? Although I really would prefer it if Tails showed up in the tornado. You know, like, this would have been a perfect opportunity to at least remind you that he's still alive in this game. But no. Eggman's built a dangerous station? Time to get all the Chaos Emeralds. I'm sure he'll wait. And again, like, I didn't think that I would be able to get all the Chaos Emeralds. But, well, you'll see how that turns out. About the rendering again, the WiiWare version's rendering includes a mouth and index finger for Sonic, but still lacks eyelids for him. And also when Sonic looks up, his mouth doesn't open, but it does in the PC and other console versions. This stage is pretty easy, but well, not entirely. It's a labyrinth is what I'm getting at. Like, there are arrows pointing you in the right directions, but it's surprisingly easy to get lost here because there's multiple different areas that you can go. And you might want to explore because you need to get all of the rings. You want all of the rings. Like, oh my god, like, it would have been really terrible if you were forced to get all of the rings to beat the special stages. And like, with the kind of controls that this has and the time limit, like, thank god you can miss a whole bunch of them. And it's good that there's an audio cue for when the gates open up when you get enough rings. And that you see a number on the ring gates telling you exactly how many rings you need to get. Not that that really helps much, because it's not like you see a ring counter on the screen telling you how many rings you have that you collected in Special Stage. So seeing how many rings you need to open up the Special Stage gates, it doesn't really make a difference. It gives you a general idea of how close you are, though. Like, if it says 2 left, then generally that's a good sign. But yeah, it's easy to get lost here. But at least there isn't that many red spears you can run into. I like how the red spears don't say goal on them, because that was very misleading. Especially to kids. Back when the classic Sonic games were first out, when it was mostly kids playing the Sonic games. Like, nowadays it's mostly adults. Because the game's been around for so long. And like, I guess kids would have gotten confused the very first time and just ran into the goals because they thought, well, like, it says goal, so... Like, they wouldn't be thinking too hard about it.
And then they would feel like an idiot afterwards. But yeah, I managed to get this on my first try. I think. Maybe I failed and forgot. But then we get to this stage. Seriously, fuck those bumpers. After you beat this game, you're probably never gonna want to see a bumper in a Sonic game ever again. This is the 7th special stage, and this is... Well, again, like, I really hate the 5th special stage too, because of the stupid trap that forces you to waste a whole bunch of time, multiple times. But this is really annoying too. This special stage consists of 4 different sections in it. And the sections generally all look... Like, it's easy to get lost here. But the Chaos Emerald is in the center. There's this one ring gate that you have to open to get the Chaos Emerald. And you have to explore the entire stage. There's always going to be the threat of being knocked into the red spheres by the bumpers that send you so far. And it's not like every single section of the special stage looks the same. Like, it's different level design every time, but when you're going to the central hub area that leads you to the 4 different sections, it can be easy to get lost and lose track of which areas you've gone to. So you look at one entrance, and you're like, well, have I gone there or not? And so you waste a whole bunch of time. Like, a good indicator is, like, if you see a whole bunch of rings near the arrows, that's generally a good sign that you haven't actually been to that area yet. This is the easiest part of the special stage. Like, it's cramped, there's no gold spheres aside from these ones that are easy to avoid because there's crystals right in front of them. Like, it's cramped in a good way, there's lots of crystals protecting you and you can just... Like, you slow down to a stop when you hit the crystals, so it's easier for you to avoid falling past the rings and stuff. It's actually the purple emerald you get last, which is weird because usually it's the gray emerald you get last. I think the gray emerald is the 5th emerald you get in this game. I might be wrong though, might be misremembering, but if so, that's also pretty appropriate because you could say that the 5th emerald is the hardest to get because of that stupid trap. But it's so easy to run out of time here, and well, you don't run out of time because you can just retry. But I was lucky I was able to get this at all. That's right, for the first time since Sonic 3 Knuckles, I finally managed to get all of the Chaos Emeralds legitimately. And I was so proud of myself for that. I didn't think that I would actually be able to do it. But you know what's even better? You can finally beat Super Sonic in the actual levels again. Like, this is why we want Super Sonic. He actually controls better than Sonic normally. Not only that, but he has this cool blur effect when he's running around. He has this golden aura that makes his spin dash look really cool. He actually guarantees that you'll jump higher. He can actually guarantee that you're going to get a jackpot every single time, which is really cool. And Super Sonic, he can actually, is activated by a separate button from the jump. Like, you have to press Y to activate him, which is perfect design. Like, Sonic 3 Complete did that for a reason. You can actually have both a shield and Super Sonic at the same time, which looks really pretty. Like, I really like how the shields look in this game. In Lost Labyrinth Act 1, Super Sonic will actually light up the darkness, so you won't need the torches at all, until you get the torch puzzle anyways. Unfortunately, if you transform into Super Sonic during this moment, it takes a while to actually transform, so you're probably going to get crushed. But that's another thing, just like Hypersonic, Super Sonic can't drown. Ever. And when Super Sonic, invincibility boxes become 1-ups, except in the mobile versions of the game. And getting 100 rings doesn't give you an extra life anymore. And when you homie attack into an enemy, it explodes into Sonic Boom, which is really satisfying. Only problem is that the game will punish you for playing as him by playing the same repetitive, short Super Sonic theme and driving you batshit insane. I really wish they just sped up the music instead.